everyone, Carla from Belvie Chocolate here. Today I'm going to talk about an international chocolate maker out of Vietnam, and that is, you have the right side, Belvie Chocolate. So let's talk about Belvie. Belvie was started in 2015 by Jannie Ha Tran, who is Vietnamese, and Marc Vanborren, who is from Belgium. That's where the name comes from. Bel is for Belgium, V is for Vietnam. So that's where the name comes from. Their goal is to make excellent chocolate in the Belgium style, but also to continue to preserve Vietnamese cacao. They describe themselves as chocolate addicts, and they were both living in South Vietnam, and they said they had trees around them literally next door, and they just started making their own chocolate, just tinkering around making their own chocolate, and decided to start a business. And so it takes a while in Vietnam. Vietnam, as you know, has a complicated political history and a complicated history with cacao. So cacao is not native to Vietnam. Cacao was brought there in the 1800s by the French, and then it waned, and then it was brought back in the 1980s by Communist Soviet Union. People were encouraged, with a combination between Soviet and Cuban scientists, they were encouraged to plant cacao, but by the time the cacao trees became mature enough to produce fruit to make chocolate, it was the 1990s, and 1989 is when you have the fall of Berlin Wall and change of communist countries as we know it. So complicated political history. All that means is that when you're starting a chocolate factory in Ho Chi Minh City, that everything has to go through the state, and it moves a little bit slower than in most places. So they got a little bit of a slow start, but now they're up and running. They have lots of interesting bars. Their goal is to get a single origin bar from every terroir or province in Vietnam. They deal with small cacao farmers, so most of the farms in Vietnam are less than 1 to 2 hectares. They're not always just cacao farms. Most of them are not just cacao farms. They are interspersed with some cacao, and so they deal directly with the farmers. They don't go through co-ops or middlemen because they want to have a true single origin terroir. And let's see, what else can I tell you about them? Oh, most of the beans they use are Trinitario. That's what most of the cacao in Vietnam is, Trinitario. They pay more than fair trade. They direct trade with the cacao farmers. I think that's all I can think of to tell you for Belvie. So let's flip the camera around. I'll tell you a little bit about their packaging and we'll taste the chocolate. Okay, so I have 3 bars from Belvie currently. I have the Lam Dong, the Dong Nai, and the Tien Giang. I'm still deciding which one I want to open, but I'll tell you about the packages first. So the molds, the sugar, the packages, the cacao, they all come from Vietnam. So this is a maker at origin. I told you about the name. So the name Belvie comes from, because Marc is from Belgium and Jannie is from Vietnam. So Belgium and Vietnam, Belvie, they're a chocolate maker. And then they have the provincial names written in kind of like a traditional Vietnamese style. And there's a different picture on each one. So this is the Tien Giang one. The picture links the geography of the region to the name itself. And these come from Vietnamese silk paintings. So there's the one for Tien Giang. Dong Nai, little village. And here's, this one's so pretty, Lam Dong. So beautiful pictures on the front. Just another part of the origin of the cacao in there as well. Okay, so you may have noticed this is, so you know the other big maker in Vietnam, their bars are different in that they're very thin. And you wouldn't think that the thickness or thinness of a bar will make difference in the taste, but sometimes it does because it affects how fast it melts in your mouth. So it can change the flavors up a little bit. And of course, how they roast and how they conch and grind and all of that can change the flavors as well. So you may have had a Tian Gang or a Lam Dong before, but it may taste a little bit different with different makers. The other thing about Belvie that is kind of interesting is the color of their bars. So different bars tend to have a different color. So Lam Dong tends to be a little bit reddish. Tian Gang is a very nice caramel color. They have their Good Morning Vietnam bar, which is just a nice dark brown. And then they have, I don't have this one either, but the Ben Tre has a little bit of a greenish tint to it. So the color of their bars ends up being different based on the different terroir as well. All right, so I think that's all I want to say. Now I have to decide which one I'm going to open. And I'm going to open this one for no other reason than I like the picture in the front. So, and it's won an award, so it's won a gold award in 2017. So let's take a look at this. So nutrition facts, ingredients, so it's a cacao butter, and cane sugar. Yeah, and they're in Ho Chi Minh City, which is in southern Vietnam. All right, let's open the bar and take a look. It's the thinness of the bar also makes you feel like you're unwrapping something delicate and precious, not chunky and beefy. Okay, so it's a good looking bar. Mine is obviously coming all the way from Vietnam, so it's got a little bit of travel wounds to it. It's got broken. It looks okay. It's got some mold release marks on it, but it looks like it's in temper. Nice shine to it. Let's take a piece and see if we can hear a snap. It feels like such a delicate little bar on my fingers. Oh, good snap. It has a nice snap. Take a look at that. It's so thin. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rub my thumb on the back to warm up the cocoa butter, because cocoa butter has a melting point near human body temperature. And then I'm going to check the aroma that will release the volatiles and get the aroma, and then I will taste it. So when I smell, the aroma that I get from the Lam Dong is an earthiness and maybe citrus and cocoa. And when I taste it, I get strong notes of black tea, of orange, of cocoa, of, let's see what else. Might have to take another bite. Yeah, cocoa, orange, maybe a little hint of spice in the aftertaste. Warm spices, like maybe a little tiny bit of black pepper. This is actually from, so in this part of Vietnam, this would be, you'd call it a central highland, whereas something like Tian Giang is a lower delta. It's the Mekong Delta. So it's a lower, more humid area, although Vietnam is in general very humid. So yeah, that's a nice bar. Interesting. It feels, the feel of it is a little bit different than, say, holding the other Vietnamese maker into it. It feels delicate. It gives you this, it sets you up for this particular sensation versus one that's a bigger, thicker bar. So that's interesting how, if you want to compare to the other Vietnamese maker to see if the same terroir tastes the same to you. I'm not sure if they do a Lam Dong. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do know they do a Tieng Gang. So you could compare those two and it would be interesting. But overall, interesting bar. Like what they're doing for Vietnam. Vietnam is an up and coming, and hopefully more so, chocolate making company, cacao growing country in the world. So let's flip the camera around and finish up. Okay, so that's Belvie Chocolate out of Vietnam, a maker at origin. So if you get a chance to taste them, you can taste them and see what you think of their terroirs and maybe compare it to another maker from Vietnam just for fun. That would be something interesting to do. So I think that's all I have to tell you about Belvie. If you tried them, let me know down in the comments and let me know what you think, if I'm hit or miss on my tasting notes. And if you want to see a new video about chocolate every week, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And we will see y'all next week. Thanks for watching.